In my desperate flailing around for ideas for videos to make in the weeks before I travel, I decided that this week would be the theme of non-Disney animated movies because I did the Rugrats movie before. And if I were had traveled by now and were doing this specific video, I would be surrounded by plastic dinosaur toys, of which I have many upstate, where I grew up and played with toys. Um, but but I don't. The only dinosaur that I can think of that I have here is a tiny little pin, and I'd have to hold it up like this the whole time, and I don't want to. I guess there's a candle also, but it's also very small. But the reason I'm talking about dinosaurs is because I'm talking about the first Land of the Lost movie, not any of the other 13 or the inevitable reboot that's probably going to happen at some point with photorealistic dinosaurs, even though there's no way of knowing what a photorealistic dinosaur would have looked like necessarily, although they do very good things in the Jurassic Park movies. At least they used to. Um, but that was the other one available to stream, The Land Before Time, and I've watched it quite a bit on streaming. Whenever it's only a little over an hour long, and it was very important to me growing up, just as well. It was one of the things that was there that we watched over and over again. Um, and but it's also one of those things that you notice different things about it every time you watch the great movies, the favorite movies. I don't know how many times I've seen E.T., but I notice something different about it every time. And this time I happened to watch it a couple of nights after watching the Rugrats movie, and I realized that the dinosaurs have kind of the same dynamic as the Rugrats. There's a Littlefoot. Hold on, I'll get the dinosaur, what they actually are up there. So Littlefoot is a long neck or a potosaurus, and he's the Tommy Pickles of the group. Sarah is, of course, the Triceratops. Ducky is the Saurolophus, and Petrie is the Pteranodon, and then Spike is the Stegosaurus. But I was comparing them to the Rugrats. So Littlefoot, the Apatosaurus, is Tommy Pickles. Sarah is very much Angelica. Ducky and Petrie are they're the two smallest ones. They're kind of Phil and Lil. They're kind of twins. But then Petrie and Spike together kind of make up Chucky, because Spike is bigger and a little more reluctant than the rest because he's a newborn. He's born after the adventure has already started, and Petrie is the scaredy one. Um, so that's the link that I saw there. And maybe every time, I don't watch a lot of movies where the characters are babies. I probably used to. And maybe if I watched the Care Bears movie at this point, which I'm not planning to do, but who knows? I might need more videos. Maybe if I watch the Care Bears movie, I will see Rugrats things. And maybe every time there's baby characters, you have to have these types: the leader one, the scared one, the bratty one, and who is ultimately part of the group and behaves when she needs to. It's typically a girl, and kind of a little princess type, which is probably why it's usually a girl, an Angelica or a Sarah, and then a couple of kind of chaotic. Phil and Lil are very like chaos neutral. They and I won't talk all about Rugrats again, but it's their idea to just take Dill back, and they don't seem to be too concerned with Dill's safety at any point, or anyone's safety. They might be future criminals, is what I'm saying, or they might be future geniuses. Who knows? But anyway, that's the dynamic I saw. I saw a Rugrats dynamic in The Land Before Time. And it starts as kind of like a nature documentary, but with animation. And what I said to the malevolent supernatural force I live with as it started was, the animation is really beautiful. And I said, this is what it would be like if the early Disney people had not been drawing cute fuzzy things in Snow White and Bambi, but rather ugly, scary things like dinosaurs. And I realized they did in I think it's The Rites of Spring, or the Rite of Spring portion of the first Fantasia. It's dinosaurs, and this is kind of that because it's it's kind of like dinosaurs going through the motions. I guess this is kind of toward the end because um, they have to travel to find food, and also there's the part where the clashing of the continents, I think, is what the narrator calls it, where the earth shakes and parts of it go up, parts of it go down, creates a huge canyon and separates the dinosaur families. So I wonder if this is like toward the end, and Land Before Time 14 would have been Land Before Time, the Great Glowing Rock from the Sky. Uh, but the Fantasia dinosaur thing it's more of an all the history of like from microbes to crawling up out of the water and evolving into dinosaurs, and then all the dinosaurs dying in the tar pits. Um, and this might have been the first time I watched it where it registered with me, oh, that the baby dinosaurs are stuck in the tar pits. The tar pits killed many dinosaurs. We find a lot of dinosaur skeletons in the tar pits. So there was that element. But it starts as a nature documentary kind of thing, and says things like, but hatching can be very dangerous for young dinosaurs because, and it shows an egg kind of rolling away, but then the egg hatches into Littlefoot, and we know that one's fine. And the dinosaurs kind of, like the parent dinosaurs, at least the apatosaurs do this, they lick the baby like a dog, and Littlefoot licks his mother and his grandparents, and I wonder, I don't know much about animal behavior, but obviously I know dogs lick people. Everybody knows that about dogs and mammals of all shapes and sizes. But the idea that, I guess, and dinosaurs, lizard, bird kind of animals, I don't know if they lick each other, whether they're fresh out of the egg or not. But maybe they do, or maybe this is one thing, they're cartoon characters, they're not fuzzy and cute, so we have to at least have them lick each other like the fuzzy, cute ones do. But anyway. But what I was getting at is, if the Disney people did animate ugly, scary creatures, it's a beautifully animated movie. In fact, I think it is more beautiful in its animation than a lot of the Disney stuff from that era. And ever since my friends lent me their Disney Plus password, I've seen all of those except for one. All of their animated movies, and from the 80s, not much as nice looking as the earlier stuff, and as Land Before Time. So the story is, like I said, they're all the herds, all the dinosaur herds, families have to find their way to the Great Valley, where there's enough food and enough water, because the water's drying up, and the leaves are disappearing. Littlefoot carries a leaf with him for much of the time. His mother gets him, she calls it a tree star, and that scene where she brings the tree star slowly down, like she lifts her huge long neck up, grabs it with her mouth, and then brings it all the way down, and that, I love that, and that throughout the movie, it's very clear that the animators want to emphasize how big these things really are. There's a battle, not unlike the Stegosaurus versus the T-Rex in Fantasia, but between Littlefoot's apatosaur mother and the T-Rex Sharptooth, and it's from the sound to the looks, it's on a little screen, but it may be on the big screen. On the movies, it was less of a thing that needed to be emphasized. But these things are, the dinosaurs were huge. You go to a natural history museum and stand next to an apatosaur or a titanosaur or any one of them. They were really, really, really big, and they don't move particularly slowly, but it still takes a long time for them to get the long neck from one place to the other, because it's got a long way to travel, and I really love that aspect of it. Yeah, so let's see. There, the Sharptooth is the T-Rex is obviously a big villain, but also just nature. Still, the narrator continues throughout the thing, but it's less a nature documentary, abstract, these are dinosaurs and these are what they do, and more, but Littlefoot realized this, or Littlefoot had to do this, Sarah realizing this. It's more about the story than nature documentary, but it still feels like they're not just at the mercy of the T-Rex who is stalking them. They're at the mercy of fate, evolution, history, um, and that's a nice, not too much, not too scary of a thing for small children, but definitely adds tension because we think that the T-Rex is gone early on, but it turns out he was only knocked out. Um, and then just the dynamic. All the dinosaurs have their things. Sarah, the Triceratops. There's a little bit of dinosaur bigotry where three horns do not associate with long necks. She gets that from her father, who sounds like Kelsey Grammer but is not Kelsey Grammer. And although in the reboot it will be Kelsey Grammer's voice probably as the head Triceratops, and she has to learn to get along because Littlefoot, I guess the long necks do kind of not want to associate with the three horns either, but Littlefoot has no problem. He's a baby. He hasn't been carefully taught, as the song goes from South Pacific. And Sarah has to get over that. Littlefoot has to accept his mother's death, and I rank it in part because she's so big, and you don't think of these big things as being vulnerable to anything. When Littlefoot's mother dies early in the movie, I think it's a more traumatic sort of death than Mufasa in The Lion King or Bambi's mom. In part because it's so, like, unfortunately we expect deer and lions to die, but you don't expect the giant, and we don't expect dinosaurs to die because they're all already dead, but you don't expect the giant thing, impenetrable thing to die, and the idea that it can is shocking. So I remember that feeling from all the way back. Petrie's got to learn to fly, the pterodon. Spike, I don't know if he's got anything that he particularly needs to learn. He's a newborn. He can't speak, but he comes in handy. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of him is. But anyway, and then Ducky, the Saurolophus. I'm not sure exactly what her journey is. They all have to get back to their parents, though. So if nothing else, they've got that. And Ducky, just a bit about Ducky. The actor's name who voices Ducky is Judith Barcy, and she was in a couple of other big deal movies. The fourth Jaws movie, Jaws the Revenge, All Dogs Go to Heaven, but she didn't make many movies because she lived only a little bit past the age of 10, and it's a very tragic story, but and I don't know All Dogs Go to Heaven very well. I've seen it, and I've seen Jaws the Revenge, but she definitely, at least for me, and probably for a lot of people, left her mark, because the only, like, I remember the visuals of Land of the Lost, but I don't remember much about the voices. They don't have a lot of celebrity voices like Disney movies, or even like Rugrats had a ton of celebrity cameos, but I always remember the yep, 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 or nope, 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 you should not eat talking trees, nope, nope, nope. So I always remember that, just the repetition of and the perkiness. And I know that with child actors, especially if this, let's see, she was born in 78. This movie came out in 1984, which means she would have been probably 5 or 6 when recording. And so I know that a lot of the performance of a child that young is on the shoulders of the editors, and in this case, the audio editors. But it's just so perfect. And it's one of the things that I take with me when I'm done seeing the movie. Even now, I can remember Sarah's voice a little bit, and Petrie's is pretty distinct, but I'm not going to be able to remember their voices as much as I will remember the nope, nope, nopes and yup, yup, yups. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention as a highlight, but also a kind of tribute to her. And being a child actor, maybe she would have eventually retired from acting, not done it. But if she had lived, but she left her mark in this movie, and it's a very good, fun one that children will enjoy, and so is the movie. I'm not going to say much more about it. I've had my piece, and I like the idea of using what little tiny platform that I have to highlight non-Disney animated movies, because Disney animated movies, they get a lot of attention, and some non-Disneys do, but as well. But I think that they need a little. They could do with a little extra, and this is one of the Don Bluth movies. And Don Bluth, I think he was also An American Tail and All Dogs Go to Heaven and Anastasia. I don't. His company was all of these. I don't know if he personally was, but he directed and produced The Land Before Time and let's see, yeah. So there's that. So, but on Monday I am actually going to highlight some Disney animated movies because that's one of the things that you do on YouTube is you talk about Disney animated movies, and I have to check that off my list. In the meantime, have a nice weekend.